Australia now, where just a few nights ago we were trumpeting the fact that an inquiry into the treatment of gender dysphoria was on the books in South Australia. How exciting, we said. Is it finally going to happen? This is the fifth time one of these has tried to get up in a state and including our federal parliament. Well, guess what? Premier Malinowskis has just killed it dead. He says, I am not too sure if a parliamentary inquiry that would be highly political in nature and that would only seek to perpetuate the culture wars is the best way to do a proper examination of medical policy. These are questions of science in terms of best practice in medicine, as distinct from a political forum for people to prosecute the culture wars, which I think people know I'm not particularly keen on. Premier Malinowskis, you are a lily-livered, yellow-bellied coward. And we are sick to death of Labor politicians in this country talking about the culture wars. You did the exact same thing to Dutton about Australia Day. Oh, the culture wars. We're not getting caught up in that. We, the people, need you to engage. We are all caught up in the culture wars, and by not participating, you are perpetuating it. And this is the most cowardly issue on which to wheel out, culture wars, culture wars. We are talking about protecting children. The fact that these inquiries have been put up this many times in the space of a year and been gunned down just as many times, I fear to say, I don't think this is a case of they don't want to know what they would find, because what do you have to worry about? It's an inquiry, okay? No, we're not talking about making legislation. We just want to look into it. Grave concerns have been raised by medical experts. What are you afraid of? What I'm worried is they know exactly what they would find, and that is why they won't pursue it.
This whole culture war argument, so this is what the left do, right? They blow up the culture, and then anyone who says, what are you doing? Oh, they accuse them of starting a culture war. It's just ridiculous. And as for him saying, well, it would be very political if we asked a question about how we treat people with gender dysphoria, it's already political. He says, let's leave this for science and medicine. Well, doctors and psychologists have been cowered into silence, afraid of being in trouble. In Victoria, psychologists are refusing to see children who may have gender dysphoria because they're afraid if they don't simply affirm their self-selected identity, they'll be in trouble with the law. So it's already political. In fact, I would argue that's the problem. It's become political. And so we can't just leave it to science and doctors to try to sort it out because they're unable to speak freely. It's the responsibility of our parliamentarians to look at what's going on and to start to unpack this, because it's children's lives that are at stake.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed to see Peter Malinowskis use this culture war language, because he is generally a pretty pragmatic politician. And on issues like this, when it comes to morality, he and the Labor Party in South Australia have generally given their MPs a conscience vote. And this is a good time to remind people that in the Liberal Party, you always have a conscience vote. You do not have to vote along party lines, whereas in the ALP, by default, you have to vote along the party lines unless the caucus gives you permission to do otherwise. And what he has done here is denied his MPs, and there were Conservative MPs in the Labor Party who were willing to support this inquiry. He has denied them the opportunity to vote with their conscience. He has forced them to vote how he wants them to vote, which is a disgrace. On a matter like this, you ought to be able to vote with your conscience. And I know there would have been people in the ALP who would have voted vociferously against it. And that's fine, they're allowed to do that. But the fact that those in the Labor Party who have concerns about the way people are treated, children are treated when it comes to gender dysphoria, are effectively being silenced by the party and silenced by the leader tells us that none of this stuff will ever get up, because it will never be allowed to get up because the party tells them to shut up. And that is a disgrace.